I haven't seen him. He lives about 8 doors away from me. Yeah, I'll knock on his door.
Chairman.
Yep. Are we live? We usually get a countdown. Claire, are we live?
No. It's 19:30, 7:30. Says here we're live.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Right, there's a load.
We are live, Chairman.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Council on Thursday, the 14th of November 2024. My name is Councillor Kevin Laggan, and I'm the Chairman of the Council. Members and members of the public, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you're giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak, and I'll then invite you at the appropriate time. Could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table as it could interfere with the cameras and live stream? And please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of microphones. Therefore, can I ask when you're invited to speak, you remember to turn your microphone on and turn it off when finished. Please reference a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers and keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible, please, and consider what questions you wish to ask at that point in time. We don't have any fire alarm schedules for today, but if you do hear an alarm, please evacuate the building by one of the two marked exit points. We muster by the police station entrance. Thank you. Clerk, may we have apologies for absence, please? No sound at the moment, I'm afraid. No. Nothing there.
Mic's on the laptop beneath the top.
Okay, we'll just hold fire a second till that's resolved. Thank you.
Yeah. It's saying that the dial should be turned on to the...
Yeah, you have to turn
It worked earlier on. That's off. No.
Good evening.
Ah, we're there. Well done. Congratulations. That's all right. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have apologies from Councillor Laybourne, Councillor White and Councillor Wicken. Thank you, Chair.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. We move on to the minutes of the 8th of October 2024, and it's recommended that the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 8th of October, which is found on pages 5 to 12, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pratt, any comments, members? Councillor Laban, thank you.
Only just one, actually, 338, the absence of a councillor. I didn't actually vote on that one, so I just wanted noted I didn't make a vote.
Right, could you just say that again for us?
338, the approval of absence of councillor. I didn't approve it. Yeah, it was majority, but I'm just saying I didn't actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Majority there, but thank you. The points have been noted. Thank you very much. Can we take them by assent, the members, with that point? Thank you very much indeed. Agenda item 4 is declarations of interest. This is to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. And members, we are reminded that we are also required to disclose any such interest as soon as they become aware, should the need arise throughout the meeting. Members, do we have any declarations at all, please? And that's it, Clark. There are no declarations, so thank you very much. We move on to public questions, which is agenda item 5, and I can advise that we received 2 questions to the Leader of the Council from members of the public, and the details of the questions received and the prepared response from the Leader were circulated today in the supplementary pack. Please note that the members of the public who are attending is Ms Masuro and Mr Seisme, who wish to read their questions out to the Leader. So if I could invite Masuro, please, to come forward to the table. Thank you, Councillor Stamp. Councillor Neil. Thank you kindly. That's it. When you're ready, you please put your question to the Leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The lives and well-being of the residents and the children of the Sharps Meadows estate are being risked and detrimentally impacted on a daily basis as a result of the complete lack of safe pedestrian access routes to schools and essential amenities within the wider Heybridge area. The local development plan details 3 pedestrian access routes via Westcombe Park. None of these have been completed, leaving Broad Street Green Road with its fast, frequent and heavy industrial traffic, 40 miles per hour speed limit and extremely narrow roads and pavements, the only available but wholly unsafe pedestrian access route. On behalf of the Sharps Meadows residents, I therefore ask, what actions are Maldon District Council taking to A, expedite the opening of the safe access routes via Westcombe Park, and B, review and improve the safety of pedestrian access via Broad Street Green Road? And when will these actions be delivered? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms Thoreau. Leader, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Mazzori. I'm aware of the strength of feeling in the local community at Sharps Meadow to secure better access into Heybridge and the wider area than those that have been approved under the different planning applications in North Heybridge and Great Totham over several years. The 3 pedestrian accesses stated in the question were not in the local development plan. However, as the LDP does not deal with specific details of planning application of different development sites, we are, however, that there an early master planning work to establish broad development principles for the wider geographic area, including land adjoining and near the application site, set ambitions for the North Heybridge Garden suburb to achieve walkable connections into the existing residential areas that would benefit both existing and new residents. In respect to facilitating new connections into the neighbouring Westcombe Park development, the council must determine the planning application it receives in accordance with the planning law and any principles formally established by the outline planning application, which was approved by the Planning Inspectorate at appeal in 2019. Officers have reviewed the planning history and clarified what pedestrian connections were approved in the appeal, and this does not include all of the aspirational correct connections considered in the earlier master plan. For the connections that are approved, I agree that these should come forward as quickly as possible to address the isolation new residents are experiencing in terms of connections to services and safe and convenient access routes. I must stress, however, that the council cannot legally compel developers to bring forward the relevant applications or highway consents that would allow those footpaths to be built any quicker than the developer intends to. However, the council is engaging with developers and Essex County Council, who are the highway authority, as proactively as possible to determine if alternative solutions exist to the existing connectivity challenges faced by local residents. Mindful that further applications will come forward, so therefore it is a priority for the council. In respect to Broad Street Green Road, myself and other councillors are working collaboratively to apply to Essex County Council as the highway authority to make the case for the much needed improvements in the road's parallel footpaths and improvements to pedestrian and road users' safety through speed reduction measures. And those communications have taken place and they were discussed last week at a Maldon summit with Essex County Council.
Leader, thank you very much indeed. We have Mr. Seisme in attendance. Mr. Seisme, good evening. Could you please be kind enough to come forward and read out your question? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Can the council update Maldon residents whether a breach has yet occurred in respect of the planning condition imposed on the North Heybridge planning development that the western end of the Relief Road be complete prior to 100 occupations at the site? As of today, how many occupations have occurred at the development including those used for marketing? And has the council independently confirmed this? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Sizeby. Leader, thank you.
According to the council's building control records, there have been 115 completions on the site, and the council has been informed that 87 are currently occupied and registered for council tax. Therefore, as it stands at present, the developers have not reached 100 homes occupied, which triggers the planning condition about the relief road.
Lovely. Thank you, Leader. We now move to agenda item 6, which is Chairman's announcement. I have a couple on here this evening. First and foremost, it gives me great pleasure to do a formal welcome on behalf of the council to our CEO, Doug Wilkinson, who takes his place at the first formal meeting. So welcome, Doug. I'd also like to thank all members for all the attendance and the care that was given during the remembrance commemorations over the weekend. It was a fantastic supported display across the whole district, so thank you. Also, I'm sure you'd like to join with me in wishing His Majesty the King a very happy birthday today. I'm sure there'll be cake around in 70 years, like a piece of Her Majesty's was just recently sold, her wedding cake. And also, as normal members, I'm suspending the need to stand under section 4.3.8 of the Constitution when addressing the Chair. So thank you. We move on to minutes of the council, agenda item 7, and this is to note that since the last council, up until Wednesday the 6th of November 2024, the council agenda has been dispatched. The following committees have met, and to receive any questions in accordance with council and committee procedures under Rule 6.2. This was the Overview Scrutiny Committee meeting as the Crime and Disorder Committee on the 10th of October, Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which is a special meeting on the 15th of October, and South Eastern Area Planning Committee on the 16th of October. I propose these are noted and agreed by assent members.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much indeed. We move on to 8 questions in accordance with Notice Procedure Rule 6.3, of which notice has been given. I can advise we have not been given any questions. Agenda item 9, which is Council Constitution Update. This is the new corporate leadership structure. This is to be found in your agenda packs on page 13 to 22. And I'd ask the leader to present the report and move the recommendations as set out below. Leader, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, this is a very significant day for the council. It's 6 years since we've had a chief exec, and this constitutional change is to reflect the change in our top level of the organisation. And I would also like to welcome Mr Wilkinson to the council, and also our new 151 officer, Mr Cookson. No, my mind went blank. I didn't be able to see Mr Cookson, who joined us recently as well. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval to some further consequential changes to the consultation in the light of the appointment of Chief Exec Mr Wilkinson. Constitution, what did I say? Constitution. Oh, sorry, Constitution. In the light of, I got my teeth in today. In the light of the appointment of the Chief Exec, Mr Wilkinson, and I would also like to congratulate Mr Dodson, who is our new Deputy Chief Exec, in place of the existing Corporate Director post. So the recommendations are that the Council agrees to propose revisions to the scheme of delegation documents as detailed in Appendix A and B to this report to take effect from the 2nd of December 2024. That officers continue to be authorised to make any further consequential updates to these and associated constitutional documents to reflect the change in the corporate leadership structure. I recommend those. Do I have a second, please?
Councillor Morgan seconded that. Members, any comments?
Agreed.
Agreed. Agreed recommendation. Thank you, members. We move on to agenda item 10, which is questions to the Leader of the Council in accordance with Procedure Rule 13M. And I've been advised by Councillor Morgan that he has a question. Councillor Morgan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Chairman. So, question to the Leader. The recent 2024 autumn budget change to inheritance tax relief announced by the Labour government will introduce a family farm tax and will have a detrimental impact on family farms and farmers' ability to pass on their farms to the next generation of farmers. Can I ask the Leader to agree that the Labour government have committed a shameful betrayal and let down farmers by breaking their promise not to introduce a family farm tax, that the Labour government's family farm tax will make British food production harder, that numerous rural and farming organisations such as the National Farmers Union and Countryland and Business Association have warned that countless farms will be harmed, threatening food security and the rural areas. And at a time when many farmers in the Maldon district are struggling with soaring costs and energy prices, this sudden tax rise will damage the future of the farms. And can I ask him further to agree to investigate what support the council can do to engage with local farmers and community representatives, and also that perhaps a list be assembled of those farmers within the district who are likely to be affected by this tax situation, with a possibility of making a formal representation to the Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. As someone who has a family member, my niece is married to a farmer and they have a family farm which has been in their family for an awful long time. So when it comes to that time when things have to move on, they will be badly affected. So I fully appreciate what Councillor Morgan is saying, and I really don't think what the government has done is a particularly constructive or positive idea. For us to engage in this situation, I think would put a pressure on our economic team, which is quite small already. So for us to engage and operate in this business. However, I would hope that our economic team, if they were approached by a farm who was in trouble or was in a difficult situation, that we would do our utmost to support them. So I don't think at this particular time there's anything that the council should be doing in terms of action and creating a list. However, I think our economic and business team need to be on watch in case anybody needs some support and guidance in this area. And I think at this stage, that's all the council should be focusing upon.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stamp, thank you, and then Councillor Dyer.
I'd like to ask the leader a question. I'm sorry I'm preempted and pre-warned you.
That's okay.
Do you think you can give council a update from the Maldon summit that was recently held, please?
I can give us an update on the summit. So Doug and myself also went to the first working group of the NHS as well. And one of the things I want to reassure council about is at that meeting and also at the summit, I was very robust about the use of our assets without any long-term plan coming forward from the NHS. During the working group, we discussed, or they came forward with a list of sites in the Maldon district. Most of those sites were not any use at all. And what I pointed out to that working group was there was something missing off that list of sites, and that was St. Peter's. And I said to them, you have a site, it's got 6 acres, you need to explore how you use that and the way that you use that. And I insisted that and at the summit, that we would not do anything until the NHS comes forward with a long-term plan. When they come forward with that long-term plan, as the planning authority, we will do our utmost to support them in coming up with solutions. At the summit also, what we also talked about was the Maldon Relief Road. And one of the good things about that is, as we've had those discussions, the Essex County Council have actually changed the design of that road, so it is more of a relief road than it used to be. So that's one of the great things that's come out of it. We continue to discuss how we might fund those things and how we work with Essex to provide those solutions, both in Maldon and connecting outside of the district. So those have been very useful meetings. What I'd also like to say is the summit is really focused on that infrastructure road part. There is a connection into the NHS, but it's not doing an awful lot of discussion around the NHS, although they are there. And I also made sure that I said to the NHS representative, you need to come forward with solutions at that meeting as well. And And we also talked about buses. Thank you, Councillor Stamp. So, and again, the lack of the bus service, especially in the Dengie, and looking for long-term solutions and outcomes for those. Again, the big thing with all these things is the finances and the economic situation in terms of the funding for them.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Durham, please.
Thank you, Chairman. It's just really on the back of the question that Councillor Morgan asked relating to the new financial strain on family farms, but there is an equally serious one that directly impacts a business or more than one business in the Maldon district, and that is the imposition of the VAT on school fees, their the ability to, or their reduction in non-domestic rates and employer national insurance is having a devastating effect. And in fact, Maldon Court are now deciding whether it is viable for them to continue. This is an intolerable situation that will not only close a long-standing business in the district, but will also put strain on the state schools, which are already oversubscribed. I would like to see the leader write to the government just to express concern, because it has a direct impact on the businesses in this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Durham. I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. The VAT on private schools is a very short-term view in terms of that, and potentially there could be 600,000 pupils who are displaced, which then creates a huge pressure on all local schools, and the money that they expect to get from that VAT increase is one extra teacher per school. So what I would suggest in terms of that is that, if we are going to write any kind of letter, that as leaders we talk about that, and rather than it just coming from myself, other leaders can decide on whether they put their name to it as well, and also any councillors who want to put their name to it, because we have none-aligned who aren't represented. So I think we can draft a letter, and then anybody who wants to put their name to it can do so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Fluker, thank you.
First of all, Chairman, having just settled the death duties on my mother's estate, I don't have much sympathy with the farmers. Chairman, I've got a question, Chairman, and I will make it a question rather than a statement, because I've heard lots of statements. Chairman, are we members of the Association for Public Service Excellence, otherwise known as APS? And do we have any liability regards to legal action being brought against members of the association by Thurrock Council? Thank you.
Leader, you don't have to answer.
I'll take a written response.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, written response. Thank you. Any other members? Because we have 3 minutes left for leaders' questions. No, if you don't have to. You can if you it's the time. If you want to ask another question, you can.
At the last meeting of council, the leader confirmed that the council was entering into a 20-year leisure contract. Undoubtedly, there'll be costs involved. The process in real terms, and we'll see this later this evening, started in January 23. Do you agree with me that prior to the tender process starting, we should have consulted with residents to ensure that what we are proposing actually meets their needs? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fluker.
I wasn't involved in that part of the process, but so if we can have a look at that and learn from it.
Okay, so written response for that one. Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Okay, members, thank you very much indeed for questions. So we move on to agenda item 11. That's any other business that the chairperson decides are urgent. There is one urgent item of business which I've agreed to be brought forward, and this was circulated to members this morning. This is agenda item 11A. This is appointment of councillors at Burnham on Crouch Town Council. This is found on your supplementary pack, pages 3 to 6. Miss Holmes, you have the report to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, councillors. In the past week, we have been notified of 7 resignations at Burnham on Crouch Town Council, which has resulted in the Town Council no longer being quorate. Under Section 91, Part 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, we have the power to appoint temporary councillors onto that Town Council to allow it to continue to function for the period until such time as new councillors can be formally co-opted or, if appropriately, elected onto that council. The report is before you tonight for you to consider which councillors you may wish to place on the Town Council, and for us to then, and for consent for us to grant an order to that effect.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms Hunt. Now, before I move the recommendations, Councillor Stamp.
Thank you. I would like to put an amendment forward to the recommendation. Do you have to put it first?
Yeah, we put the amendment, well, no, because we haven't actually raised it yet, so we can take the amendment now and agree that as the recommendation.
I would like to put forward nominations for Councillor Una Norman, Councillor Vanessa Bell and Councillor Ron Pratt to be put back on the council and to support us with immediate effect, if that's possible.
So that changed that changes it from 2 councillors to 3 councillors. Yeah, okay. Councillor Fluker.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Having done this twice in the past for both Hawthorne Parish Council and Tillingham Parish Council, Chairman, I'm certainly not standing to volunteer to do it a 3rd time. But, Chairman, we did seem to get in a bit of a muddle because, and it might be something that the monitoring officers should be mindful of, is when we actually joined these councils, I totally agree with 3. Because, you know, we've got other commitments. I don't have a problem with that, and I wouldn't have a problem if there was 4. But what we have to be very, very careful of is what we do when the council becomes core, because clearly there are issues at Burnham Town Council, and I'm pleased to see that say that 2 of the town councillors are here tonight as members of this council. But the issue arises, and I think it arose at Hawthorne, was as soon as the council was corate, the serving councillor, there was only one, then said, thank you very much, step away. And we couldn't, because the council couldn't function properly without the experience of councillors. So I think we need to go back and work out how best manage that, because obviously once the council is corate, and it's only going to take 1 person, then the other 4 should move off. And we didn't really have it covered off last time. So I think you may have to visit Mr. Quelch's garden shed. Yeah, we got in a bit of a muddle, so I think we should be mindful of that.
Thank you, Councillor Fluker. Any comments, Ms Holmes?
Thank you, Councillor Fluker, for your experience, because I appreciate you've been through it before. We will look at it. It may be that the district councillors decide they wish to remain and stand in as parish councillors, be co-opted in themselves, but we'll have a discussion outside of that, outside of the meeting, to make sure that any transition is done as smoothly and efficiently as possible. Thank you.
So we have a recommendation to have 3. I'll come to it in a second. 3 members to instead of 2. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reassure everyone that if it is agreed and I am put on the council, I have no intention of legging it before everything's settled again. So please be reassured. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So could we just have those nominees again, please? Councillor Driver. Did you wish to? Excellent, Councillor Driver. We look forward to you bringing a different dynamic to it. Yeah. So, through the chair to Councillor Stamp, could you reiterate the 3 members that you nominated, please?
Yeah, Councillor Vanessa Bell.
Yep.
Councillor Una Norman.
Yep.
Siddle. Well, you're always Una Norman to me. And Councillor Ron Pratt.
Okay, all of those are nominated agreed to stand. Agreed. Members, is that seconded by? Yeah, seconded by Councillor Fluker. Members, is that agreed? Yeah. That's agreed. Thank you very much indeed for that. So we also, Councillor Driver. Feel free.
We've gone past the point of asking a question. We've gone past the point of asking a question, and we've taken a vote. So.
Yeah, you feel free to labour the question. The resolution is made, but yeah, you can ask the question.
Well, the issue was clearly if there are a large number of councillors in Burnham who have resigned for whatever reason, I just want to be assured that there isn't an implication for this council in appointing district councils to support that council. It's just whether there actually is a potential comeback on this council.
Ms. Holmes, I just want to clarify that because it is part of the process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
By law, we have to make sure it's
Okay.
correct, and we appoint those individuals. The town council acts as a separate organisation, so there should be no comeback on us as a
thank
district
you.
council.
And we need to move recommendation little 2, that the council authorise the making of an order pursuant to section 91 Local Government Act 1972 for the temporary appointment of 3 councillors to enable the town council act lawfully on terms set out in the draft order attached as appendix 1 to this report. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson, thank you. Members agree that by assent? Thank you very much indeed. We move to agenda item 12, which is exclusion and the press are public. I move that under section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the Act, and that this satisfy the public interest test. I so move. Do I have a seconder? And Councillor Stamp, thank you. Members, do we agree by assent?
Agreed.
Okay. Please let us know when the live